Well, hello, viewers. I am Patricia Matthew. I am here with Nick Laymon. How are you, Nick?
I'm great. Thanks, Patty, for having me.
Great. Well, thanks for taking the time to spend with us. Nick is a top agent in the Las Vegas Valley. He has been licensed for, is it 19, 18 or 19?
Oh,
Come
my
on,
goodness.
19?
Yeah, '06. So carry the one. Yeah, right? 19? 25. Yeah, 19. Yeah, for
So
sure.
we're going to spend some time today talking about love, health, wealth, and time to enjoy them, and a little bit of business and whatever we feel like talking about. How do you feel about that, Nick?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. So what have you been up to? It's 2025. I haven't spent some time around the holidays, and I really haven't seen you.
Yeah, I'm going to work on my yes. So we're going to count. That's one. 2025. I'm excited. It was the biggest year ever for me. So 2024. And I'm just really excited to kind of go off that momentum build, continuing to trying to find business-wise. I'll start there, just trying to find people that can give me more than one deal. That's something that I've really been trying to target as you kind of grow. How do you get more than one transaction or deal from just more than one from one person, personally? Our backyard's finally done. Oh my gosh, what an endeavor that is.
Yeah, it's quite the backyard. It's pretty magnificent from the pictures I've seen. So tell us about that. That's a big accomplishment. That's a big personal.
It was a big deal.
2024.
It really was a big deal because I went down this wealth journey that I'm sure we'll talk about here in a second. But I didn't want to finance. I wanted to finance as little of it as possible. And backyards, because of COVID and inflation and supply chain, they're not a swimming pool and kitchen, and all the things don't cost what I thought that they cost. And so as the number continued to rise, I needed more capital to do the backyard that we wanted. And then we didn't really want to settle. So really for 4 years, I stared at a dirt backyard that was inspired by the Sahara Desert until I had the capital till we had the capital to pull the trigger on what we wanted. So it's amazing. That's awesome. We've just finished the plaster.
Yeah.
That was corrected. It took a couple times. So we're good. I think we've used the spa 3 times now. I just made smash burgers 2 days ago on the new grill. And that's super exciting. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about what's going on personally and professionally with me.
Yeah, so that's been quite a journey building the pool. You shared with me the experience of going through it. The design is spectacular.
Thank you.
And now it feels like spring today. I think we're going to get a little bit colder, but then summer's going to be here. When's the cannonball contest?
Yes, we're gonna have that. I don't know what day yet. We are gonna do a little bit of Super Bowl party. So we're having a small, kind of intimate, maybe like 14 people.
Nice.
So that's the first kind of unveiling. So that's going to be Sunday, and I'm going to make some tacos, and I got some people doing some potluck stuff. And so we'll have the spa going, and first time we're using the outdoor TV setup.
Yeah, it's quite the TV too. You got the barbecue, the setup, and the TV.
We did the whole thing. We really didn't hold anything back. So imagine, awesome. I mean, if you're full outdoor entertaining, indoor, outdoor space, 20-foot slider, we really didn't hold back. Lighting's off the charts. I'm the big lighting guy, if you didn't know that already.
Yep.
But I like things to change colors. I like things to be able to dim. So it does all of that. And we even have a feature wall that we can project movies or a game off of, something like that. So
yeah, very nice. That's
the largest residential patio cover the company had ever built, because my wife is a vampire and she likes to hide in the shade. So this is like I don't know it was like 44 by like 80.
I love it.
Some crazy patio cover that was it's awesome to be under, by the way. So I do appreciate the shade, and thank you, honey, for being a vampire.
And Kate has quite the eye. I mean, that's something that she's passionate about, design. She spent a tremendous amount of time in the house you moved into just a few years ago, right? So
we moved in like April of 20.
Okay.
So we kind of started inside out. So that it's spectacular. She's phenomenal, and it's something that lights her up. It's one of her values factors, building and design. So we just continue to let her just do her thing. And
Gave her creative role.
absolutely. And I just get the benefit and just kind of be the arm candy on the side. Like, yeah,
Awesome.
this is where I live.
Awesome. Good job, Kate. Good job. And
Thanks,
you
man.
also, so yeah, that's quite a personal accomplishment, moving into the house in 2020, backyard for years, and then really going big with the backyard. You also have a new family member.
Yes,
So
we
tell us about him.
have Mr. Enzo. So Enzo, again, my wife finds all these eclectic, awesome things, and she was able to. We found the trainer first, okay, because she was really big on like we want the dog to behave, follow commands. We do a lot of probate business, so sometimes you go into a home and there's squatters or people in there that I'm not really like a gun guy, so like, what do we do? So having just a large dog was kind of the thought, and then find trainer. We find trainer. We had breeds in mind. Trainers like, no, those, nah, that breed's a whiner, or that breed's this, FOMO on that breed. So we were like, okay, well, you just shot down our entire dreams. Like, what should we do? So the breed that he suggested was called an American Bull Molosser. I know all of you know what that is. Yeah, me too. I had no idea what that was. And so he set us up with a breeder in like upstate New York. There's a thing called a puppy attendant, like a flight
What's
attendant that you can fly a dog. It's like off-duty flight attendants that will fly your dog that you purchased for like a small fee to wherever. And that math was way better than us driving to Syracuse, New York, or us getting 2 plane tickets and then flying back the dog. And there's this whole service. It was called Flight Nanny. That's what it was called. I knew it is.
So if this real estate thing doesn't work out for me, that's going to go do that job because I love animals.
Yeah, you just fly with a puppy. You paid the guy. Literally, I dropped off the dog, and he was like, "Okay, I gotta go. Like, sign here." And then he was from Philly, so he went from like Philly to Syracuse, then Vegas, and then literally just hopped on a plane and went straight back. So, Flight Nanny. Yeah.
Yeah, Enzo's traveled more than most people, it sounds like.
I believe
getting here.
100%. Yeah, right,
Yeah.
for sure. So yes, Enzo's amazing.
So what's the experience been like? You have any sleepless nights?
Yeah,
What
I
was
have
that like?
red eyes now. I used Visine before I came on here, and people probably think I'm smoking, but that's not it. I'm just not sleeping.
Just eternally tired.
Yeah, it's like a baby,
Yeah.
and some people know, some people don't. If you don't know, I'm up. What was last night? 2:30 and I think 4:30 to let the dog out of the crate, because we put him in the crate. He gets 1 hour of snuggle time before crate, 1 hour of snuggle time before we start our day. So that's the snuggle time that's happening. But yeah, 2:30, 4:30 last night. So yeah, I'm a little tired.
So what has it done for you besides being tired? What has, how has it filled your cup up having the dog? I know I'm a dog lover myself. So putting the tiredness aside, Enzo being in your life, what's that like?
Well, he's amazing. And my wife, again, back to the values factors, because that's really what all my wife really do. And another one of her values factors is animals. So to share that with her, watch her light up. She's never had a puppy. She's only had rescue dogs before. So to watch her just completely be like childlike, and my wife's not really like a childlike human. She's kind of very, just type A, like very organized, and so to watch her be kid-like is just, outside of him being cool, that's so cool. So, but I love him, but to watch that's like kind of the real thing.
That's
for
the
me.
magic.
Yeah, I could watch that all day.
Makes it all.
It's like when I take her to the zoo, like she's just like this 8-year-old child.
I love
it's like amazing. So
I love it. So that connection is super important, and accepting people the way they are, not just your wife, but just people in general, right? Isn't that what everything's about?
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
That's where the connection happens.
Absolutely.
And you also have a tortoise, I believe, right? You created a tortoise habitat?
He did. He got an upgrade.
You're into all cool things.
He got an upgrade as well in our backyard. We inherited him. We didn't inherit him. We wrote him in a contract. That's a funny side story. So there was some clients moving to Montana. You can't take a desert tortoise to Montana. My wife was like, oh my gosh, we want your tortoise. So like we put him in the listing agreement that if we sold the house, we get the tortoise. The tortoise is like 27.
So good.
Desert tortoise is brumate, which is like a synonym for hibernate, but it's like their version of it. So
Okay.
he's sleeping right now. He hasn't even seen the backyard. We woke him up from his nap to put him in his hole. He's been sleeping and the entire time.
Yeah, they sleep for months on end, right?
Yeah, typically he goes down like October and he'll wake up maybe end of April, beginning of Mayish. So he hasn't met Enzo. He hasn't seen the backyard. He's in his comfy, sand. We did this like crazy
So he's an
tortoise habitat. He does. We'll see how
We'll
that.
take a video and
100%. Yeah.
when Enzo meets him, I'd love to see that.
Excited.
I'd like to see
We're kind
that.
of having a little bit of anxiety, like, ooh, like what's that going to be like for Enzo? Because Enzo's big now. He's like,
Yeah,
his
how
dog,
big is he?
first of all, is going to be probably 140 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
And so right now he's about 50. I think he's 60. And I pick him up. I'm like a scale, right? So I pick him up and I'm like, oh yeah, he's 60. And Kate's
that
like,
paladin, you
you're
have that.
yeah. She's like, you're ridiculous. And I'm like, no, but he's 60 pounds. She thinks he's like 52. She's probably right, but I think he's 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna place a wager on that.
She'll win.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just accept that. Right. Just
Absolutely.
so let me ask you. So you've got some great things happening. You came off your best year in real estate in 2024,
Yeah.
and then you're also finishing the home of your dreams, adding members. Everybody sounds like they're thriving and doing well. What happened in 2024 that made it your best year? Was it one thing? Was it a series of things? You've had maybe a little over 30 days to reflect.
So, yes, it was a series of things. As the short answer, I was exposed to a group called KW Wealth, and then I joined and went all into this Wealth Mastermind group, which just I can't unsee it now. So things that I didn't know that existed, like I can't not see it. So it really started kind of internal. So not only was it like a GCI. Or highest gross commission that we've earned, but also, we had ancillary income. And so that was something that we really wanted to focus on and grow that. And so that was larger for us as well. So it was a combination of both that made this like kind of epic year so far in our life. But we just kind of started building kind of little small habit stacking of things from as small as like, hey, Colin, your insurance company, can I pay in advance? Like, what's the discount if I pay my 6-month premium in advance? What's the discount if I pay 12 months in advance? Oh, well, I can give you a 15% discount if you do that. Like, okay, so now I started to kind of really look at everything as like percentages.
Yeah.
And that's like the part I can't unsee. And so that really also applies to the GCI. So like something that I wanted to focus on was, how do I increase the commission or what we're paid. And so this, for the first time this year, based on all the services we offer on the list side, we averaged more than 3% per deal.
Wow.
Because
Just by being cognizant and being aware.
being able to really articulate our value more, and then people perceived it as value, obviously, because they signed up for it. But to take a listing at a higher percentage and then being able to articulate to the buyer side with all the changes that happened in 2024, could you still get the 3? If the sales side wasn't offering it, could you get the buyer to cover it?
Right.
Or if you're taking a listing at 3.25, are you taking it at 3.5? And then are you providing enough value that warrants that bump?
Yeah, that was kind of a tricky thing, right? Everybody, the lead up to the BBRA and what are we going to do? People had either had an abundant mindset or a scarcity mindset. And I know early on you had shared with me a couple of stories that you built such value and trust with the people, the buyers you were representing, that when you went to present an offer, the seller side was so firm on not offering anything compensation-wise that when you went back to your buyer, the value was so high and the trust was so high, they said, all right, that's not the property for us. There was no problem with that. You moved on to the other property, right? Because they believed in you and the value, and they wanted you to.
Yeah, I've had multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I've had multiple examples to where the buyer side has either chose to go on a different property, or they have chosen to, pay the difference. And I don't want to make this all about money. The answer of the question was, I got super, super specific on where could I grab a percentage here? Where could I grab a percentage there? And I'm talking from Cox to Netflix to my car insurance to we did our first flip this year. So that was something that was amazing, to how can I compress cost, right, and reduce my debt to increase cash flow as we spend less just by something I was already going to pay.
Right.
You already pay your car insurance. If I can just front load it, if I have if I'm the ability to front load it, now I got a 15% discount or a 12% discount.
Yeah.
If I call Cox, hey, I'm going to cancel, and all of a sudden now my bill, we reduced our ADT bill by $137 a month.
Just by calling and
just saying, hey, I was going to cancel.
And so many people don't do that. That's valuable. So in all areas of your life and business, just by being intentional, by building value, trust, and looking at things, you were able to increase your income by not being afraid to make the phone call. So many people, I don't know, the stat is very high where people don't look at their insurance. It just goes on autopilot. They stay with the same company for years. They don't call and ask. They don't shop around.
Well, in Cox, like every 3 months you get a bill like, hey, your bill's $7 more.
Yeah.
Hey,
that happens.
It's $7 more, $9 more. And it was like, hey, how many times are you going to allow a $7 charge? Mm. And just like, is there something I can do different? And I'm not mean about it. Just, hey, I don't really watch this channel. What do you got for me? What can I do different? And one lady helped me. It was like addition by subtraction. We added a personal house phone line that got us qualified for some other package that reduced the bill by like $59.
Yeah.
So by paying 22 more, we were able to overall reduce by 59.
And you got an old-fashioned landline.
That we just unplug. Because like you still get this, it was like, oh, will you not get like spam calls or scam calls on it? No, you still do. So it's just there, unplugged.
Yeah.
But it saved us like $50 on, and I know that sounds like people are watching this like, dude, that sounds so crazy. They're saving this, but I'm telling you, if I can grab 50 here and 100 there and 200 there, or a quarter point here, a quarter point there, that translated after 10 months of focus to the largest year that both my wife and I had.
Well, because you're intentional, you're looking at your numbers differently, and it sounds like it's really been a mindset shift. You were doing well before. However, you're very learning based. You've been in a lot of coaching. You believe in coaching, masterminds. You put yourself in the path of opportunity to grow. You've done it. Tell us a little bit about, you're in KW Wealth today, which we can like to talk more about. But what are some of the groups that you've been with before where you've grown?
Sure.
Share that.
So I started definitely there's a great book, like What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Okay. So once I started to flatline, maybe it was like year 10 or 11, I kind of was hitting like 25, 30 units, maybe 3-4 years in a row. And it was like, okay, how do I want to do more. What do I got to do? So I started with a coach. So the first coach I had, I interviewed a bunch. I resonate more, Nick, personally with Tom Ferry versus, Mike and the other ones out there. So I started with Tom Ferry coach. It was like, okay, well, what's the frequency? Let's start once a week. And then we ended up tweaking it to twice a month or every other week. And that we saw instant growth there. So just having being accountable, people looking at your stuff in a different way than you're looking at it. Sometimes in real estate, people aren't like super sharey. So having someone that was from the East Coast that like ran her own brokerage to like, hey, look at my stuff and have suggestions, that was really, really helpful. And we were able to grow from that. So I coached at Tom Ferry for 3 years. Then I joined, by her suggestion, was to join a local mastermind group.
Smart.
Or like a local, small business mastermind group. So I was in Vistage, which is kind of a national brand. Some of us broke apart. We went to another group named Boar. We then broke away again to Catalyst, and I had been in Catalyst for like the last 4 years, to where you're just around super high-minded small business people that are looking to grow.
Not real estate related.
No.
Business in general.
Yeah, and not just grow just money-wise. Like they're growing professional or personally. Like, hey, I got a struggle with my kid, or hey, my spouse is this, or hey, somebody's stealing from me. What do? I have a problem with my neighbor. it's kind of like a board of directors to bounce off of. And so that was very, very, and business happened in there, but that wasn't the reason or why I was attracted to that. It was just about, if I could be a better person, where else would that show up in my life? So it would show up as a dad, it would show up as a husband, it would show up professionally. And now I'm just constantly elevating, which then today allows me to, really get more or find those little bonuses or bumps because they see the value, because I'm spending so much time in the education of growing myself.
Right, and breaking through that next ceiling of achievement, right? Like you said, you put it well, you flatline, you hit. Nobody needs to teach you how to take another listing or how to represent another buyer.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of flatline, hit a certain number of units and income potential. What advice would you give people who are considering being in coaching or sitting on the fence and I'm not sure, what advice, knowing what you know now, would you give somebody thinking about it?
Man, I really think that you really have to identify, so if this was business wise, or if I want to grow and I want to hit a certain income level, really you have to, the income level precedes the work. And what I mean by that is your commitment or education to doing the habit stacking precedes the giant payday. If in this case we're talking about income. So I have to habit stack things. I have to set, an intention or a goal of what it is that I want. I have to start doing those action items and stacking them, doing them consistently, doing them correctly and consistently, to then later I get the check, or later I get the benefit of that. And once you commit to that, coaching is that accountability piece that really kind of just sets you on fire to okay, I have a play. I know where I'm going, and I have somebody that's willing to talk to me about that or keep me accountable.
And allow you to make course corrections, right? I mean, because that's what happens if you're on a plane from here to anywhere. It's not just a straight line. You're course correcting. It goes it's a little bumpy, the ride, right? It zigzags. The same thing with the course for learning. By having a coach, it's kind of having the bumper guards there. And also able to show you your blind spots and give you perspective on things you can't see that you wouldn't have uncovered without their help.
Oh, yeah. I think the difference between somebody that hits their goals and somebody that doesn't is not that they didn't have good intentions or they didn't have a plan or all the skills to do it. It's that they didn't check in enough. The person that hits their goals is checking in frequently to see when we're off track. The reality is we all get off track. It's the difference between the person that hit the goal is they checked in more on getting back on track when they were off versus, they went so far in between to check in, and therefore they didn't hit the goal.
It's kind of like somebody who looks at their financials once a year and says, where did all my money go, right? It's easier to look at it every month and course correct.
100%. And that's what we do. We look once a month, first of the month, where did it go? Where's our influx? Where's our, how's the cash flow? What's the incoming? What's the outgoing? Where could we be better? Where do we make mistakes? And then how do we correct that? So yeah, if I just looked every 6 months, it's hard to go back. I can't go back.
It's overwhelming. You
yeah,
put your hand and say, I don't want to be bothered.
Well, and most people don't want to type it. How are you really going back and data entering that? Or are you using programs to help you? And so we look once a month. I think that's the easiest way. We use a program that helps us in that. So
what program is that?
We use YNAB.
Mm-hmm.
So YNAB, I think it's $20 a month or $25 a month, but it has AI that once it sees your spending habits, it can categorize it for you. And so basically Kate and I, at the end of the month, there's just unidentified charges that it didn't know where to put them. And then so now we can look at the totality really quickly, but maybe we only have 16 charges where did this go? Oh, remember you went here, or you went, that was that.
Swipe your card. Correct.
Right. And now we can categorize, okay, that's a business expense, or, that was, entertainment, that was, whatever it was. But I don't have to look at 180 charges because the AI already categorized it. I only need to look at the unidentified ones.
Brilliant. So finding a system that works now that you didn't have in place necessarily a year before.
Yeah.
And so what's it like holding your money accountable?
It's scary. It was not fun to commit to the backyard prior to seeing all of these things.
Was that real money that you committed to the backyard?
It was.
Real money?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real dollars. Okay.
No, I've let that go, and I'm enjoying the space, and I'm enjoying that we committed to it. We were intentional with it. We know it's going to come back to us based on how we're going to utilize the backyard. So, but yeah, I think the answer, I think everybody's playing the wrong game, if I'm being really honest. I think that the game is a cash flow game. And I think that most of us were taught by our parents to play a 401k, IRA game, work, save, 10% of your money. And, one day market will be here and you'll be able to retire and you'll pay low taxes. And I think that that's completely wrong. I think that's incorrect. I think that you'll pay higher taxes, and I think that you'll live a life that will be lower than a life that like I'm living now. And like my biggest fear, if you ask me like what my biggest fear, my biggest fear is running out of run out of money.
Yeah, and you had shared a story with me about your perception of money at an early age based on just the response of people in your life. You drove by, I think, a house or something, and the question was asked, what do they do? Or I wonder what they do. And the tonality of the question, the way it was asked, left a lasting impression on you, right?
Yeah.
At an early age.
We would drive by a house and, it was a nice house and, be like, oh my gosh, I wonder what they do. And I think it's interesting because I think parents could take two tones. One would be, oh, I wonder what they did to get that house. Maybe with like an uptick, and it's like something, oh, they're a professional, they're a doctor, they're a lawyer, they're an entrepreneur. And then it's interesting that some people will respond to that same question with, I wonder what they did to get that house. Like it's the same words with a different dialect and tonality to where like, oh, now it's like they did something shady or they're greedy or they took it from someone. And the reality is like money is just really a tool. Like it's just a tool to get the things that you want or give if you want to give it. I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. It's just a tool. For me, that tonality, I wanted it with money was pretty scarce in my household.
Okay.
And when we got it, we spent it. Like I have a memory of, man, my mom, when we would get a paycheck, we would go to the grocery store and every kid would get a cart. And we probably dropped her whole paycheck at the grocery store. And then I remember the food having to have to last for the 2 weeks. And by like day 12, we're like, oh my gosh, like we only have one top ramen between us, or like, cause we just mowed it down in the first 7. And so then now you're kind of like scrounging for the last 7, which what did that teach me? It just taught me that like, oh, you get a big hit or you get a big commission. Let's go. What could I go buy with this?
Right.
Like, oh, I can go spend it all. I got some amazing TV or some epic vacation. And then now I'm scrounging until the next payday.
And you realized that was a young age that was happening, or did it click?
Oh, no. Like I'm just... I didn't understand it at all. And I still was doing the things like the grocery store that as a kid. My first commission, I bought a plasma screen TV.
That's right.
I didn't I couldn't even afford it.
Did you have to buy somebody else one too?
I did, because I was like, oh, if you use me, I'll get you a TV too. And the 2 TVs were more than my commission. So I went in debt on my first paycheck, which is awful. Yeah. Well, that just was like, oh, I got a hit. It's like a dopamine hit. Like, I got this hit of this money. I got to go spend it. Mm-hmm. So I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. And I think the game is rigged, like I said, and I think it's a cash flow game. And so if you can really figure out the lifestyle that you want, how much cash do you need to do that? And then now, how do we take our income to invest into assets that produce cash flow to where true freedom would be, can my cash flow income exceed like what I'm spending, or my burn rate is what we call it.
Truly passive income from multiple streams.
Correct.
Right? Not just one, not just putting all your eggs in one basket, as they say, diversify.
Yeah. And I think there's long, medium, short, middle, or short, middle, long, or short, however you want to say it. But we are starting to set up all of that. So we have 6 months of our reserves in a high yield savings, right? And
that's your great plus in case of emergency
just in case,
fund.
Yep. Apocalypse happens, we're good. We know 6 months, if we don't get a check, we're fine. Okay, and you still want to earn a yield on that. So where do you put 6 months of burn rate, right? To where it's still liquid.
Yep.
Okay, so you can do like T-bill ladder stacking, or you put in a high yield savings. So somewhere earning 4-ish% on that, cool. And then we have a plan with like, what do we do with that interest? So even when that interest hits, we do something with that. And then how do you compress the debt we try to pay off any debt of anything that doesn't increase in value over 7%.
That's another game where it's rigged, right? A lot of depreciating assets. You can throw your money into plasma TVs, cars. It can look real nice. However, you're not getting that back. It's very easy to do.
And especially if you're financing it. So like you want to go buy a TV. Look, I like TVs too. Let's just not throw it on a credit card at 24%, please. Like at least have the money before you go buy the television. That would be ideal,
right?
I feel.
So you're also it's not just in stocks. You're learning very creative ways through wealth on how to invest things as far as what I understand, minimal rights, notes. There's a whole plethora of investment strategies that are right within our wheelhouse. We just have to be in the room with the right people to understand them.
Yeah, 100% on. It was a world, like it was like they opened up my skull and kind of like spun my brain around a little bit. And like, how come nobody's talking about this? And if just traditional education, that's not, they're teaching education based on the money being tied to the gold standard game. When, money was removed from the gold standard, dollars essentially became currency and only really have a value because we say it has a value instead of tied to gold. So that's when really the shift happened. Obviously, we didn't play that game, and I wasn't even born when that happened. But what people have to understand is if you're just kind of putting it in the market, and then you retire, and then it's going to spit out some equation for you, are you bleeding it down? Are you taking only the interest?
The 4% rule.
Right. Is there a legacy piece to it? Is there, what happens if you calculated for 86 and then you lived to 96? Right? There's two certainties for sure. You're either going to run out of time and you'll still have some money, or you're going to run out of money and you have more time.
Right.
So how are you going to exit? So to be in this room and talk about exits or to have ideas on really, if you could just create cash flow that's passive, it doesn't really matter, because if your lifestyle is on the passive cash flow, it never changes. And then where do you put those vehicles? Like 4%, I could put it in a T-bill and I could always get that if I just have a bunch of money in a T-bill. But there are other investments such as notes or oil and gas is a wonderful thing. Those are investments that, maybe a free and clear rental property that we know can earn. Right?
That's what most agents do, right? Because it is in our backyard and it's so abundant, is go out and buy as many rental properties as you can. And that is a great strategy. However, there is a certain degree of maintenance with that not appealing to everybody in our industry or just appealing to everybody in life. What do you think of that?
I agree.
Having that portfolio.
I agree. Yeah, it's noisy. It is kind of like what the wealth world or what our mastermind calls it. How noisy do you want it to be to fix ACs or have somebody not pay? And the truth is if you're not free and clear, like let's just do some quick math. Like, hey, maybe I have a property that cash flows $500 a month. So at the end of 12 months, I'm up $6,000. And then I got to replace an AC at $12,000. So really in that year, I'm negative.
Right. Hey, but you get the equity.
You get the equity, right? And that's what everybody's saying, or I got to hold it. And my thought is like, okay, well, what if I took that same equity and maybe I go buy $200,000 in notes, right? Like just as an example. So if I own a note now, I have a servicer that's collecting that mortgage payment. The person is the homeowner. I'm getting the interest, principal's getting paid down, and when the AC goes out, the homeowner has to fix the AC.
He or she's getting up every day to build your wealth, pay your bills.
And I'm just, Nick, how do I even, there's ways to buy notes. What's so cool, where it gets really nerdy crazy, and I'm not sure how nerdy you want to get, but let's say hypothetically I buy a note, and then in 2 years they sell the note, or they refi, right, or sell the house. Now I collected on 24 months of payments. I bought the note at a discount, and now I'm paid in full on the whole amount that they owed. Yeah. And now I just go find another note.
Right.
Okay,
It's all paper.
It's just I'm buying debt.
Yeah.
And what can I tell you about Americans? Like there is a ton of debt, and there's
$3 trillion or some crazy number, right?
There's so much money to be made in the debt space, and so you have liquidity. I am personally wanting to invest in debt than I am wanting to acquire property as the way of passive cash flow.
Right. So the Bank of Nick is what I'm hearing, right?
100% infinite banking system. Again, that's really geeky and nerdy, and that's what I'm trying to create as a.
It's kind of like what is best advice I got is what's the future cost of today's decision? And that's really right. How am I spending my money today? Where in the future, am I going to thank myself or not thank myself? So what's the cost of that every time you make a financial decision? And it's never too late to turn it around either.
No. I mean, I think I sound really cool, and maybe you think I sound cool. Maybe I don't, but I've only learned this the last 10 months.
Yeah.
So this has been, I guess it's in February, it would be a year this month is when
If somebody else wanted to learn about this wealth and what you're doing, how would they what's the best way to get in touch with you?
I would. You can call me. So I'll just say my cell phone. I answer it. I know it's direct. 702-289-5200.
Really get you? They don't get negative?
No. I'm just a solo agent. I don't have a team. You get me, not negative Neil.
I love it. No negative Neil in this.
No.
We'll talk about him next time we have a conversation.
For sure.
He's a whole whirlwind himself, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
But that's the best way. Just call me direct, and I can put you in contact with people that run that mastermind, or if you have a specific question, I'm already kind of helping some people right now that have inquired.
Which is fantastic because, time or money, there's a way to have both of them if you play your cards right. If you become a good student, you invest the time, and a lot of times when people think about coaching or masterminds or anything they're going to be a part of, they think it's an expense rather than an investment. An abundant mindset will think it's an investment to help them get further faster. Right? I mean, that's what you've done your whole career.
I'm increasing the velocity of me getting to where it is I want to go.
Yeah, a couple more questions. I think that it's a worthwhile story to tell is you were a dual career agent at the beginning of your career. You were doing ballet, then you...
Valet with a V, not ballet. I can dance, but I'm not going to do a pirouette.
I don't know if I can picture that, but okay. Yeah, valet with a V. He was parking cars and got his real estate license and lived in the two worlds, and you were able to successfully turn around. You didn't quit ballet. Tell us a little bit about what that looked like early on in your career for anybody who may be listening who is in that same spot.
Yeah, man, that was...
It feels like a long time ago.
And it wasn't even that long ago.
19
That's
years.
What's crazy. So I did both for 10. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did valet and had my real estate license for 06 to 16. I did both.
Too much grit to quit.
I did both. It was definitely a scarcity mindset thing. Valet was, I knew what I was going to get. I knew what day I worked, what shift, how much money I would make. It was insurance. It took a very special person in my life to put it on a spreadsheet of, hey, how much is valet costing you? Or how much does it cost for you to work at valet, and could you just sell like 3 more houses? And the answer was yes. So I left valet in 2016. How did I manage both? Honestly, it was a kind of a juggling act. It was hard work. It was processing, okay, I have a buyer appointment, but I got to work at 4, but they can't meet till 4:30. How do you do that? So thank goodness it was union, and I understood how the point system of being late or calling in sick was. So in that case, maybe I show 3 houses. I show up to work at 6, even though my shift started at 4, and I would get, 1 point or a 3/4 point deduction on my point system. And I was just kind of juggling both.
You worked with what you had.
Yeah, I just was kind of, I guess like a football term, like I was just kind of taking what the defense was giving me. So like, hey, this is the coverage you're showing. This is the time you can look at a house. This is when I'm supposed to work. I never really told anybody else that I was valeting, because I was fearful that the client would think I wasn't good as an agent and representing them if they thought I had another job.
Yeah, I don't want to go to a part-time doctor. I want somebody who's all in. So
yeah.
I can appreciate that.
I didn't lie, but it wasn't like, hey, I got to go to work at 6. I didn't show the house in my valet uniform. Like it was in the car. I was ready to go. It did get me good at like preparing, right? To understand like, okay, I'm leaving my house right now. I got to go show 3 houses. Then I got to go to valet. What do I need to accomplish all those things? Because I can't come back. It's like, cool, you need your shoes, you need different socks, I need this, like I got to have my stuff hanging. Like it really kind of got you to slow down and think about, okay, I'm going to Green Valley, this is what I got to do, timing here. It got me really good at efficiently showing homes.
Okay.
You know, sometimes buyers want to hang out for an hour. Like I got that down. Like they think they spend an hour in there and we were only in there 12 minutes. And that is a skill that...
There's something called the Nick pick too, right?
The Nick pick,
The Nick
yes.
pick is kind of fun.
The Nick pick came from me working valet, in that you have a buyer that can't really make a decision. And so they're constantly just like, I need it in these boundaries, I need it in this parameters. And so what I realized, if I just move them maybe 4 minutes away from their boundaries, I could find the perfect house for them. So what I would do is I would show them the homes they would want to see. Then I would add what was called a Nick pick. And the Nick pick, it was great because it rhymed. And so they liked it. And then it became a game. And I said, look, if I find the house for you, because the internet's amazing. Like buyers can find the houses. Like they have the same data that we have. Like it's just out there. So if I find it and you buy it, you got to make me dinner or take me to dinner. If you find it and you buy it, then I'll make you dinner, take you to dinner. And the Nick pick, what was great about it is I would add it to the last house of the showing. I would stretch their boundaries just a little bit, like, hey, again, 4 minutes away, or it didn't quite have that tile that you wanted, or we could change that. And I would take them to the home. They had no idea they were seeing it. I made them follow me, which allowed them not to look it up. They could not be prejudge the house.
I love it.
Or try to like analyze it. So you got this like raw emotion of like them experiencing it for the first time because they weren't able to look at it on the internet. And I'd walk them through and I would just be really honest and say, look, I picked this because I heard you say you wanted this, 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 and this. I also heard you say you didn't want this, this, and this. This has 8 out of those 10 things that you wanted. None of the things you didn't want. Last time I went to school, that's a B. And I'm telling you, I would track this, and like it was like 88% of the time they picked the Nick pick.
Nice.
Which allowed me to compress the time because I needed to go to valet, and I got a meal. So it was like win-win for Nick all day long.
Necessity is the mother of invention. And you were able to make that happen. You had a limited amount of time. You had to come up with the system.
To get him to make a decision.
And it was fun.
It was fun because they
still is
loved the bet. I still do it. I don't valet now, and I still do the Nick pick.
Yeah.
But they love the bet because everybody wants to play a game.
Yeah.
And so kind of make it a game is fun. And either way, like the reality is even if they win, I still win because once you like have the meal with the client, like then they're kind of a client forever. So
yeah, you cross over to a different echelon in your relationship when you break bread with people.
Yeah. So all the way around it worked for me. And that was a fun way that all I was trying to do though, like I can't take some like mad genius credit. I just was trying to get to valet. And it was like, how do I get them to make a decision faster so I can go park some cars?
That's the reality. And look how far you've come. Yeah. That was your twisted way of thinking at the time because that's what you knew. And you had knowledge to feed at home.
I'm supposed to be there an hour ago. How do I? Nick pick worked.
Well, it's been a delight spending time with you. I could talk to you all day. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked?
I would say for people that are watching this that are stuck or just you want something different, I would challenge you to change your room. If I believe we are a culmination of the top 5 people that we spend the most time with, and if there is someone that you know or that you can get close to that is doing what it is that you wish you were doing or want to be doing, so how close can you get? How sticky can you get to that person? And you will just learn by being around people like that. And so that would be my challenge to anybody out there. If you're feeling stuck or you're unhappy and you want a different life or you want something different, then let's get around people that you think have that. And I think your world can change.
Take action. Don't be afraid. That's all we have. Love, health, wealth, and time to enjoy them with Nick Laymon.
Thanks, Patti.